Hi everyone, it's Karen Cave again. I wanted to make a bit more of a serious video on a very big subject, massive subject. I'd say a subject that most people seem to be grappling with. Thinking back on my life and the things that have happened in my life and the things I've done, this has been a big issue for me for years. And thinking of most of my friends, it's a really big thing, and it's something that's not. I don't think it's really talked about. Is this taboo thing? So the topic of today's video is: should we beat ourselves up? Should we beat ourselves up for our mistakes? And it's something that a lot of people spend their whole lives doing. It's almost as if, it's all they have. All they have is this guilt and this anger at themselves and the words that they're using, that I'm stupid and I always make mistakes and I always get it wrong and I can never get anything right. I mean, how many of us have said that stuff to ourselves at various points, It's like, oh, stupid, I've got it wrong again. Here we go again, I've messed it up again. And it's something that recently has really been on my mind. It's something that's cropped up in conversations with friendships. It's something that cropped up in therapy when I was in therapy last year. And so this is the issue of the day. Should we beat ourselves up for our mistakes? If we're going to do it, how long do we do it for? Do we do it for a lifetime? Does that make for a happy life? The thing that triggered the idea for this video was I have a Facebook friend called Adam Crown, and he's given me permission to use his name in this video. And basically we got talking about coaching videos, and he mentioned that he has been putting videos on YouTube, and I went and I watched the videos, and he talks very bravely about his overdose. He took an overdose, and he's a personal trainer, and he nearly died. He had 2 massive heart attacks, and his body will never be the same. His heart will never be the same. He won't be able to work as a personal trainer, probably to the degree that he was working before. He gets a lot of pain. He can't be as physically fit as he was before. So he talks in his videos very candidly about how crap he feels for the mistakes he's made, and that he feels as if he's almost being punished for making this mistake, for taking this taking this overdose. And obviously what it comes down to is, he has severe depression, very severe depression. And should you be accountable for something that you've said or done when, maybe your mental health isn't in the right place, if your normal level of functioning isn't there? And I mean, I've had this myself in the past with meltdowns and things, and you sometimes you can be triggered by certain things, and it's an imagined reaction. Well, it can be a reaction to, say, a perceived threat, a perceived rejection, and it's often stuff that's triggered in childhood, and then you're very oversensitive in these particular areas, and so you can get triggered and have what looks like an extremely irrational response, when actually, when you do research into trauma and post-traumatic symptoms which aren't resolved, a traumatic response is actually completely normal. And even my therapist said this to me. So you have a response that you can't control, and your adrenaline's going, and you're maybe going into a very childlike, threatened state, and you're maybe crying, and you're maybe screaming, and you're maybe shouting, and you're not really being yourself. It's kind of coming from another place. So therapists and psychologists will say that this kind of reaction is a completely normal reaction, considering what the person has been through. It's the only way that the body and the brain knows how to react to protect that person in that moment, because they haven't really processed the trauma properly. So Adam's videos really touched me. I thought they were very, very brave, because he talked very candidly about reactions from other people in his life. So because of his mistake, and I don't even want to call it mistakes, to be completely honest, I don't believe in mistakes. I used to, and I don't now, but I think that's for another video. So we can only react, in any given moment. We can only do what we're able to do in any given moment, given who we are at that particular time, and given the tools that we have to deal with that situation. Now, it can vary from day to day, it can vary from hour to hour. We've all had days where we've maybe been exhausted, we've not been 100%, and everything's gone wrong. And it's almost as if every possible circumstance has piled on you so that you're functioning on one cylinder instead of four, and everything's going wrong, and you just can't cope with it, you don't want to deal with it, and you end up having a meltdown. You end up maybe screaming at your kids, you end up locking yourself in the bathroom and having a cry on the floor. But then all those circumstances might happen on another day where actually you're feeling okay and you're better equipped to deal with that stuff. So it's not really the circumstance. Circumstances will affect everyone all the time. Circumstance will always affect you, but the degree to how much it affects you is going to be determined by how you're doing and how you're feeling on that day, and what you've been through, and maybe what's happened the day before, So with Adam's videos, he said, to bring it back to that, he said a couple of things that really stuck with me that I thought were really important, and I wanted to share them because it might help other people who feel as if they've made a lot of mistakes, made too many mistakes, and they're beating themselves up for mistakes, and maybe they're getting a lot of crap from friends and family who are constantly reminding them of mistakes they've made. So something Adam said in his videos was, he did what he did, he took the overdose, he's very ashamed of himself, but it's done, it's in the past, and it can't be undone. Plus, we all make mistakes. And I thought, yeah, and I absolutely agreed with that. Nobody is, no one is infallible. The saying about people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Nobody is in a position where they have never made a mistake. Nobody's in a position where they can say, I am better than you, I am better than someone else because I don't make mistakes. Because do you know what? If you go through your life and you've never made a mistake, what does that mean? That really, you've never tried anything, you've always been too afraid to fail, to actually do anything, to actually, step out of your comfort zone, to actually reach out for something, because in life, to live the fullest life, you've got to take risks, and you've got to be vulnerable, and you've got to be open to that stuff. Whereas if you're constantly just concerned with being, feeling safe and being cautious, are you ever going to stick your neck out really for anything? Are you ever going to live the life of your dreams? Probably not, because if you're too concerned with what other people think and other people's approval, then you're not going to step out of your comfort zone. So I think it's really important what Adam said about, we all make mistakes. What's done is done, it's in the past, and it can't be undone. Also another thing is we have to be careful the words we say to ourselves, the words we use, the language we use with ourselves. And Louise Hay teaches this and talks about this, and Louise Hay is worth looking up. She's amazing. She changed everything for me. She's got books and audios on YouTube, and she's an amazing woman. So she teaches that, a feeling comes from a thought, and a thought can always be changed. Always. A thought can always be changed. So you've got to ask yourself, if you're criticising yourself constantly over so-called mistakes you're making, you've got to ask yourself, would you constantly criticise a friend or a loved one for the mistakes they've made in the past? 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, would you constantly criticise someone you care about for things that they've done that were less than ideal? And if you would do that, then maybe you need to look at your friendship. I'm not talking about constructive criticism. I'm not talking about somebody does something daft or dangerous, or they maybe, you know, a lot of us do need to look at ourselves at various points. But the key thing is to learn. It's a learning experience, and so we learn from what's happened. But if somebody, you know, is constantly criticising us for things that we've done in the past, you've got to ask yourself, is that serving me? Is that actually making me a better, happier person? Is that empowering me to do better next time? Criticism never does that job. Criticism will always pull you down and make you feel bad. Every time. That's the job of criticism. So you've got to think, okay, would I criticise a friend for their mistakes? As opposed to, you know, trying to help them or advise them or lean them a certain way or offer to help. Would you criticise somebody constantly for the mistakes they've made in the past? And if not, why would we allow someone to do that to us? And if not, why would we say it to ourselves? Why would we not treat ourselves and talk to ourselves in the same compassionate, human way that we would talk to a dear friend? Why is it different? And you've really got to ask yourself that. If you are criticising yourself all the time, you've got to think, would I allow a friend to speak to me this way? Would I speak to a friend this way? And if not, why am I speaking to myself this way? So, you know, you look at the lives of successful people, millionaires, entrepreneurs, business owners, pioneers, mavericks, whatever. Richard Branson, you look at his journey and his life story, I think he failed at something like 70 businesses. He's supposedly failed. The man is a billionaire. Look at what he's achieved, look at what he's pioneered, look at how he's changed the world. But he is not afraid of failure. He'll go for it if it feels right. And if it doesn't work, he'll learn and he'll move on and he'll do something else, or he'll tweak something. So the mistakes don't matter. It's the ability to realise that, okay, this is the situation, this is maybe less than ideal, this is what I can learn from it, this is how I can do better next time, and that's the key thing. So, like I said before, really important thing to keep in your mind is that if you're in situations and then afterwards you're beating yourself up and you're saying, I shouldn't have done that, why did I do that, what's wrong with me? Keep in mind that we can only do what we're able to do in any given moment, given who we are in that moment, given all the circumstances leading up to that moment and the tools that we have to deal with that situation. Nobody has the right to judge, really, how we react to a difficult situation. Everybody's going to react in a different way, and as long as you know, recognise it for what it is, and you can maybe improve next time if you want to, that's the key thing. So I'll stop the video there because we're up to 13 minutes, and wish you all the best. And this was a bit of a longer, more serious video because it's a big topic, I think, and I'll do more videos on this kind of topic, but I want to keep them fairly concise so I'm not rambling on for hours. So yeah, wish you all the best, and take care of yourselves, and you're all amazing. Okay, bye.